What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 11 of my artist series. I can't believe it's already at number 11. I love doing these, absolutely love having these conversations. This week, I'm speaking with Homero Espinosa. He is one of my favorite DJs and producers of the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And I absolutely love just his overall footprint in the house music community. So I'm super excited to chat with him and share his music experiences with each and every one of you. So stay tuned and let me get him on here. All right. 1 second here. He should be coming on any second. Shout out to Bimes, Rich, Morgan. Thanks for joining. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties here. Sorry, guys. Hey, what's up, man?
How's it going? How you doing?
Fantastic. Yourself?
I'm good, thanks. Just wrapping up the day.
Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day and talking with me, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I love all the hardware behind you.
Good to connect. Yeah, I actually just rewired all of it. So it was in pieces for the last couple months because I was getting a bunch of stuff serviced and finally got it all updated, rewired, and now I'm pretty excited. There's a whole other rack of synths on this side too that I'm pretty excited to start digging back into.
Oh yeah. Well, it's been a while since I saw you, man. Last time I saw you was when you came down to play for my party with Jesse, the Utopia party on the river here in Sacramento.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was hot. I remember it was hot.
Yeah. It was baking, probably like 110, 112.
Yeah.
I think that day it was super hot. But anyways, yeah, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I do these artist series every once in a while, and I really just absolutely love house music and its culture. And I've been in the scene for over 20 years now, same as you. And I just find it really interesting and fascinating the way we've developed ourselves and have matured and grown throughout the culture over the last couple of decades, and just sharing experiences with my favorite artists and producers. And I'm really honored and grateful that you're here today. So I'm really excited to speak with you and learn more about your journey and what you got going on.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I've been in the business for a long time, and it's been an amazing ride. But I'm a lifer. I'm like you. I love the music. I love the culture. I love what house music represents. And having been in the industry for this long, I feel like I have an idea of how this whole thing works. And it's interesting that you're asking me to talk about, what it's like to be an artist when, it's like I run the label, I DJ, I do all these things, but I recently started a nonprofit that's specifically focused on helping promote, Black, Latino, and LGBTQ plus artists. Because, in these spaces, a lot of times there's not a lot of representation. When you start thinking of like the DJ Mag Top 100, how many people of color see there? Not a lot, And so I feel like now that I feel like I'm an elder statesman, been here for a while, I want to make sure that I can share share the wisdom, and then get other people to also mentor and share the wisdom. So we started this nonprofit called Music Connects Foundation, which I'm pretty excited about. It's just in its infancy stages. We just got our certification and all that jazz, but you know, it's great. It's just like perfect timing.
That's amazing, man. It's amazing that you've been able to have these collective experiences over the years and actually start forming something like this to give back to the community. What really inspired you? What was the tipping point that inspired you to start this nonprofit? And in doing so, did you partner with other people that are in the scene as well, or are you doing it solo or with your wife?
No. There's a board. So like I've been wanting to do something like this for quite some time. I feel like I was really lucky. A bit of my history is like I was able to be part of Moulton Studios in San Francisco in the mid 2000s, where Chris Lum was the one that rented me a room, and Miguel Miggs was around the corner, Olivia Desmet, Fred Everything, Barkley, Dirty Bird guys were around the corner. And so there was this community there that welcomed me, and I wanted, I think it was like 2007, 2008, and I was just getting my footing with regards to production. I'd been DJing for a while, and a lot of the people there took me under their wings and shared a lot of wisdom with me, and that really stuck with me, right? So we were there for about 10 years, and then now I have my own place in Oakland. But when I've been here, since I've been here, I've missed that. And what I missed most about that was just the community. Like Chris Lum was really about sharing that knowledge, right? And he used to put on these free workshops at the space. And it was like you just had to RSVP, and he would do like a Logic workshop, or he have like various artists come in and do what we're doing here, right? So that really stuck with me, and I wanted to be able to carry on that tradition. So like the people involved in the foundation is myself, Joshua Smith, who is part of SF Pride. He sits on the board. He's the president. He's also part of a Burning Man LGBTQ group called Comfort and Joy. He put on these huge, like 10,000 person, huge events in the city. And so he's very involved in the community, and he's really, having been a part of Pride for like 20 years, he really understood the message and what we were trying to do. And then the last person I got involved is a good friend named Robert Brown. He does these events called RBG events called Hot House.
Okay.
He just started off. So it's a collective, three of us, and the goal here is like we want to put on workshops, and we want to put on free events where we can tap into funding from the city, so it can be a free event and highlight new artists, right? Artists that the folks that you don't always get to see, and give folks a chance to perform in places they wouldn't necessarily have those same opportunities.
That's so amazing that you're able to give those artists a voice, so to speak,
Right.
and just provide a platform for that. So much respect for that, man. I really appreciate you doing that, and I have a feeling it's going to be a really good part of your legacy as you continue your house music lifestyle.
Yeah. I love what I do, and I've learned a lot over the years, and one of the things I always share with Josh and a couple of friends is like I want to be able to open doors for folks so that they understand the game, like what it takes to be successful. Like I figured that out on my own, stumbling along the way. I had some great mentors, but this next generation of kids that are really young and hungry, yes, the internet's there and there's a lot of information available, but to make connections, right, with DJs that have been around for a while, or producers with younger kids, and give them an opportunity to understand how the playbook works. Because there is a playbook to, as much as people think, oh, we do it for the love. Yes, I do it for the love. And there is a business component to it. Some people don't like to acknowledge that, but if people really want to be serious, just like a corporate job, you got to do certain things to get where you need to get to. And, it's important that we share that wisdom.
Yeah, I was just talking on Sunday with Carlos Baruch from Sacred Grounds LA about that, about the business aspect of it. There comes a time, where we get ahead of ourselves, and it's about the fun and the party. But really, you know, you hit the nail on the head. If you want to get to that next level, and if you want to really make something with your music, you have to have a level of seriousness and commitment and consistency, and that just excludes all the fun times. You know, there has to be a business component to it, and I think you're 100% correct on that.
Yeah, I remember when the Martinez brothers first came on the scene. I want to say this is like 2007, 2005. And, you know, every year in March, there's the Winter Music Conference.
Yeah,
Now it's called,
Miami
it's
Music.
called, yeah, Miami Music Week, right?
Yeah.
And I remember going to that conference and seeing the Martinez brothers with their dad. You know, their dad he's a seasoned house music veteran, and he was running around shopping their demos and just really like
Oh wow.
aggressive and very, you know, he had that business mentality, right? And then they got signed with Dennis, right? And then things started happening, right? But they had their dad, which is a great example of having someone there to help you navigate, you know, help push them. And look at them now. You know, these kids, they're grown men now, right?
Yep.
They're like icons doing like fashion stuff and, you know, DJing all over the world, you know, and they had someone there in their corner, you know, to help guide them to really, in my opinion, speed up the process to get to them to where they needed to be successful. You know, what's up, Andrew? That's a 916 homie right there.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying, and you know, and kind of goes hand in hand with the younger people getting into the scene, leaning into the seasoned veterans, such as you and I, and people that have been in the house music scene for, you know, a couple decades or more. You know, there's a lot of tribal knowledge there, and there's a lot of support too. I think if you find your right group and find the right niche for who is in alignment with you, then I think there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of experiences to share with everybody.
Yeah. You know, and I've been really fortunate. Like in my early years, you know, I was going to raves in the late 90s with my friends, and that's when I was just you know, I come from a business background. My parents were small business owners. My grandparents were small business owners. You know, at 19, I was like, I want to know how to throw these parties, right? So, like, I went to Primal Records in Berkeley, and I remember talking to some friends there and them connecting with Tony Hewitt, right? Remember Tony from Tango Recordings?
Oh yeah.
And I told Tony, hey Tony, I found this warehouse. I want to throw a party. I don't know what the fuck to do. He's like, all right, call this dude, which was Eric Spire from Quest. He's like this old school promoter. He had this amazing sound system. He's like, call Eric. He'll get you your sound system. Call this guy who can design your flyer. Call this guy who has the security. And he kind of like connected me with all these people, right? And that started this relationship that I have with him. You know, he really mentored me at the beginning with events, because that's where I started. I started DJing because I started throwing parties because I was a DJ, and I realized that if I wanted to play out, I needed to start doing my own shit, right? I think that's the thing sometimes people forget. It's like no one's going to just discover you. You got to do your own shit. You know, look at Doc Martin with Sublevel and his events and how he's built his brand around his events. And so I quickly realized that, you know, and so anyway, so having Tony, someone like that, really guide me at the beginning was something that really helped to I don't know where I was going with that, but that's the tangent we went off on. Yeah, I think we were talking about I don't remember. I don't know. It's late. I'm tired.
Well, tell me a little bit about when you first got started. I know you went under DJ Huey for a little bit. Yeah. tell us a little bit how those years were, and how you progressed as an artist and as an individual throughout your tenure here up to today.
Yeah, so you know, in the early years, the early 90s, I used to go to raves, and I was a dancer. I used to hang out with a bunch of break dancers, and we'd go to all the parties, and I used to dance. And one morning, you know, it was probably at home base, something like that, and one of my friends, Emilio, was like, you kind of, you know, I had like red hair at the time. He's like, you're like Huey the Duck. And then my nickname became Huey, and then I started DJing. And I was like, well, let me just do DJ Huey. So that's what I picked, and that stuck for like the first 5-6 years.
That's
And
awesome.
then I stopped going to raves, and I was like, I need to have like a real name, because this is kind of like a rave name. And then I switched my name to just my given name, right? And yeah, and then I, from a raver who was dancing to DJing and being in that DJ culture of the records and vinyl, and
Oh yeah.
you know, like I was at Primal Records every Tuesday, because that's the day that the record shipment would show up. Like at 2 o'clock, when the fucking UPS driver was there, as Barry, the owner of the record store, was opening the box, I was like, "What's that one? What's that one? Give me that one." You know what I mean? It's just like, that was the culture, right? Just being in the mix, and being there, and so yeah, so I started DJing, and then I realized I needed to throw parties to like kind of build a brand for myself, and I started throwing parties, and then crazy enough, I met this guy named Sasan, who was like a promoter for Cool World, so these big raves. They call them festivals now, right? But back then there were these big raves of like 15, 20, 30,000 people at the Cow Palace and at the San Jose Fairgrounds. And at that point, I was already pretty successful with the parties I was throwing, and he needed someone to handle his promotions. So I stepped up and I started running all the promotions for him. And for a good 4 years, I handled all the promotions for Cool World and Skills when they started. They were doing
Oh,
parties at the Bill Graham. And so I had a crew of like 20 people that were doing, back then we used to hand out actual flyers, right? Like 20 people from Sacramento all the way down to Los Angeles. It would like canvass all the clubs with flyers. I had folks outside of the parties in the morning passing out flyers, and that's how I made a living for it was like throwing parties, DJing full time, and helping Sasan with Cool World and Jason from Skills with their parties, and it was great. And then 9/11 happened, and the entire economy took a shit, and parties kind of just dried up. And I realized, I was like, I have all this marketing experience, but I don't have a degree to back it up. So I went back to school, ended up getting a business degree, ended up getting an MBA,
oh
all
yeah.
while continuing to work on music. And the thing about the music industry is, as an artist, is it oscillates. There's a lot of ups and downs. And so when my career was down, I really focused on education and got these degrees. And then, my career started going back up, and I started playing out again. And fast forward to like 2008, I got my lucky break at Moulton, had a studio there. And then I started helping Chris Lum. Then I met Mark Farina, you know what I mean? And we became friends. And, in the last, I would say 10 years, I feel like I've really come into my stride. It's actually after I met my wife, after I had my son, because I realized that I needed to stop fucking around, either piss or get off
Yeah.
the pot,
Yeah.
right? Excuse my language. And when I met my wife and got married and had a kid, I realized that I really wanted to do this, and that if I really wanted to do this, I needed to do it the right way. And that's when I got involved with Moulton and started the label with Chris Lum and David Harness, and all those things started happening with Mark Farina and Doc. And it's just, these last 10 years have been just an amazing, I can't believe that I'm working with some of the producers that I would like get giddy over, like a little school
Yeah.
kid
Absolutely.
when I was going to raves.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible. And you know, when you want to take it to the next level, it requires a different level, different version of you, and
Right.
it's amazing that you recognize that, and you put structures in place to take yourself out of the party mode and into the business mode, and really like making more sound decisions to take you to that next level. Now, I did read somewhere that you just celebrated your 10-year anniversary at Pandora. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. So like, I also have a day job where I work at a tech company. When I started, our department was tiny. It was like 5 people. I work in advertising for Pandora. Like the team I oversee makes the commercials that people hear in between the ads. And, that's been a job where I've had a lot of flexibility to continue to do music, and still make grown-up money.
Yeah.
But I'll say this one thing though, like when you talk about that change in mindset and the change from being party mode and whatnot, like I made a decision in 2005 to like just stop drinking and partying, and that was like the best decision I could have made. And I got really serious about, you know, being in the industry, and that really, like, to your point about, you know, uh, taking it serious, you know, like that really was a turning point for me. And I think a lot of times, you know, kids get really caught up in the, I was really caught up in the partying when I was younger, and I feel like there was a couple windows that I missed because I was too busy, you know, having fun at the
Uh,
party rather than doing the work.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Was there any part of you like during that thought process, like, man, if I get more serious, then like I'm gonna like it'll be more boring, or it'll be way too serious for me. Did you walk through all that stuff in your head?
I did, but I also had folks in my sphere at that time where they were also straight edge, and they were doing it, you know. And I quickly realized that, like, getting drunk every weekend after a gig and trying to recover for 3 days, like, I'd lose those 3 days, you know, multiply that times every week. And then I was like, man, you know, it's like being on the road, like it takes a lot out of you, right? And so, like, traveling and then partying and trying to recover, it just, like, none of that was very conducive to the goals I was trying to get to, you know.
Yeah,
So
I definitely agree, especially now that we're older. It takes until,
yeah,
you know, Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe Thursday, to recover off the previous weekend. So like I quit drinking on New Year's this last year, just for
nice.
just kind of like a little self bet, and
Yeah,
I'm alcohol free for over 3 months now, and I feel fantastic. My energy levels skyrocketing. My cognitive processing is a lot higher. So
yeah,
I told Stacy, my wife, I could care less if I ever drink again. I'm sure I will one of these days, but it doesn't have the same like feel to it anymore for me. And I don't get anything out of it. You know, just being around it doesn't bother me. So I'm
yeah,
taking music and business a lot more serious now. And just like you, I started taking my music a lot more serious, probably about, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. And since then, things have been changing for me as well. So I definitely relate to a lot of the things that you're saying. So I appreciate you sharing all those.
yeah, for sure. And, you know, and it's just like, I think, you know, I think back to when I was younger, and some of the opportunities that I missed. I can point it back to just being irresponsible and reckless, you know, from the partying, which comes with the scene. It's totally it's entertainment, right? That's what it is. But again, going back to what we talked about earlier, it's like, if you want to make it your career, you kind of have to, you know. And there's some people that can do both, which is fine. But I just found I got to a point where I needed to, like, was paying for grad school. I was like,
Yeah,
I can't be dropping $30,000 a year and come into class hungover.
that is true.
Not
Well,
worth it.
not to mention also like when you are uh, getting into the scene and you're meeting people that are at the level at which you want to be at. You know, like you said earlier, that you can't believe that you're doing business with, you know, a lot of the people that you've idolized and looked up to over the years. But here now you are, and you know, when you're at when you're at a certain level and you're looking at these artists that, you know, oh man, I wish I was there. I wish I was there. They're not going to want to do business with clowns and drunks and
Right.
partiers. You know, you have to come to their level with a specific level of professionalism, and you need to be ready to play ball at that game. You know what I mean? And it's just it's so profound, the shift in mindset that is required, that a lot of people just sometimes don't acknowledge it, or don't quite understand that is seriously something that is truly required if you want to rise up and make some moves.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's the truth. You know, and there's a time and place for everything. You know, I think you know, but the priorities are, you know, if for me, it's like, if I want to do this seriously, these are the things I needed to do, and one of those is just putting all that shit to the side.
Yeah,
You know, which, in hindsight, like that was back. It's been 17 years, right, since 2005, and I'm, like, so glad that chapter is closed.
that's awesome. That's awesome. And then earlier you stated you got married and you have a child. So, what how has music impacted your home life, and do you have a lot of that integrated with your wife and kid?
I do. You know, when I met my wife, like it was interesting, right? Like when I met her, I was in grad school and I wasn't necessarily touring or DJing out as much. And I said, look, it's a little low right now, but that's because I'm in school. Know that, once I'm done with school, I'm gonna get back on the road, do all these things. And she's like, oh, that's cool. And then like, grad school finished and we were married and before my son showed up and I started traveling a lot. And she's like, whoa, this is too much. I'm not seeing you at all on the weekends. We agreed like twice a month. And then when my son came, it went down to once a month. I'd leave town. But the great thing with having a family is I really had to allot specific time to work on music. So now like I have this recording studio. Like it's not in my house. It's in a building away from the house. It's like when I come here, I'm here to work. And that was one of the things that like when Claude Von Stroke first moved into Moulton back in 2005, he didn't come to hang out. He would walk straight into his room, bang it out for like 4 hours, 5 hours, however long he was in there, and then leave. He would say hi real quick. But at that point, his kids were really young, right?
Yeah.
And now that I had my sons, I get what he was doing. He was just really focused because you don't have time to fuck around, right? And I think having, for me, it was having my son and getting serious that I really was able to just really hone in and be like, all right, if I'm going to be at the studio for 2 hours, I'm going to be working for 2 hours,
Yeah.
right? And my work ethic changed too, where I got to a place where I felt really, it's a constant struggle, with my art and writing music. And is it done or is it good enough? And I got to a place where it just had to be good enough. And
Yep.
good enough was getting charted everywhere and getting these sales and doing these things. And I was like, well, actually, if that's good enough, then, I don't need to be finagling with these little things that I would mull over for additional days or two. It's like, no, I think it's done.
Yeah.
It's cooked. Let's get it going.
Shout out to George. What's up, George? Thanks for joining. So what projects do you have going on right now? You had an EP coming out earlier this year, correct?
Yeah, I have I'm on a schedule now with the label. Like I put out at least 2 records a month. Either on Moulton or labels that I'm signed with. I have a record coming out next week or this Friday with Chris Herrera. It's called Cloud 8.
Oh, nice. I love Chris from San Diego.
Yeah, he's good people. And then 2 weeks after that, I got a thing with Mark that's coming out. And next Friday, I'm in the studio with Doc Martin, wrapping up a couple of he wants to put out records, which I'm excited for.
Oh yeah.
So we're working on that stuff. So it's just a lot of busyness, man. Like it's like running the label is I think there's a team of us that are behind the scenes making stuff happen, but there's a team of us that run the label, and the label puts out 2 records a month. It puts on 4 to 5 shows a year, and it's its own entity that just requires feeding, and what it eats is releases. So I need to make sure that we're signing music, and then I'm making music, and luckily I have a stable of artists like Harness, and David Harness and myself and Cube Stan and Alan Craig and all those cats. Well, shout out to Large. It's Jeff. I just signed a new record to him, which I'm excited about.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just, it's busy. It's busy. It's business. I love writing music, and I love, it's just something that I have to do. Even when I'm on vacation, I'm thinking about I'll hear like a door close. I'm like, damn, that might make a nice clap sound. You know what I mean? Like that's where my mind is. It's like I'll hear a horn honk and sound be like, is that an A minor? Like, I'd hear, I don't know. That's just how my fucking brain works, So it's like, I don't fight it. I think of it as, this is something that my creator gave me to do, and I'm just going to do it. And I have fun. Luckily, I have a job, and the money comes in that I can buy fun toys to keep having fun. Jeff.
Has your son showed any interest in music? Does he come to the studio with you at all?
I tried to get him in piano lessons, and he wasn't having it. He's a jock. That boy loves sports. Like anything he touches, and I'm not trying to say just because I'm his dad. He's gifted. I wasn't. I'm a musician, right? I got 2 left feet when it comes to dancing. I mean, when it comes to playing sports, but he is all in. Like he's been really into baseball since he was really young. Now he's 10. He's playing in a league, and has a 50-mile-an-hour fastball, and can, at the last game he struck out 3 people in a row, and so like his gift is sports. We came to the studio the other day to just jam around. Like I'll let him play with the toys, but I just want him to come around to it naturally. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I don't force it on him. It's
for
here. You know, my wife plays piano. She does piano lessons. So he's always hearing music. You know, he's really into music. He has his own little Spotify profile and playlist, you know, but I let him come around to it, you know, but he's really having fun with sports, which has been a lot of fun.
That's incredible. And as he's been getting older, I assume the time constraints have been increasing as well, with sports and school and so on and so forth and events. How challenging has it been to balance a music lifestyle and getting gigs as well and traveling with the increased stresses of raising a child and being busy with sports and school and other things like that?
Yeah, it's a lot. You know, I think it's definitely a lot. I tend to say no more than yes to gigs, you know, and I've been very grateful to have those problems, you know what I mean? But I limit myself to playing, you know, maybe once in the city a month and then once out of town a month, if that. Sometimes I'm, you know, because of my day job, I run a creative team. Sometimes I'm traveling all over the country for that as well. So it's a lot to juggle, you know, and where I'm at now, it's like I'm really you know, I have a lot of fun in the studio and being able to have like the parties that we do. And so it's definitely, it's gone better as he's gotten older, you know.
Yeah,
And my wife,
for sure.
we just tag team, you know what I mean? We only have one, so it's really easy. It's like, all right, my Google Calendar is my North Star. If it's not on the calendar, then it doesn't happen.
Oh, you're still on man-to-man coverage. We have zone defense over here. We have 4 kids.
Oh yeah, I don't even know. Like, I got a dog, I got a son and a dog, and that's like enough right there for me right now.
Yeah, we have 3 boys, 1 daughter, and a dog.
Mm.
Pretty busy household over here.
Yeah, that's a whole other ecosystem.
So, as we look back at your career, what have been like your top 3 most favorite parties or favorite events that you've played at?
Mm, that's a good question. I will say the party we just had, you know, with Mark a couple
Halcyon?
weeks ago yeah, that was, it was nuts. I just remember at one point it was like 2 o'clock and like Mark was just like in the zone,
Shredding.
you know, and just shredding, right? And he's like, I gotta go pee. So I jumped on. I jumped back on, you know, and then we started tag teaming, which was a lot of fun. And it was you know, that was a fun experience, you know, having those moments like that. Another one was, I think in 2005, I got to open the main stage of Ultra, you know, I think it was Ultra number 5. And I played right before I opened. So Dave Seaman, when it was like these big DJs, right? So to be
Right.
able to play on that, like the sound system, it was like the size of a you know, one city block of speakers. And it was still vinyl, right? So just to hear those records on those huge systems, I just remember thinking, man, this is really special, you know. Things like that. I've had a lot of fun. Some crazy undergrounds in Los Angeles, you know, stuff like that. But
What's one venue or party that like you really want to play at and you haven't played yet?
one of them is like, surprisingly, like I've never played Ministry of Sound. You know what I mean?
Uh,
In London. You know, I'm hoping it'll happen sooner than later, but it's all good. You know, it's
that's
one of the,
that's definitely a fat venue right there. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. Hear the sound systems, and it's been so for like, you know, last time I played out there was like smaller clubs, right? Like I was on that circuit. I never necessarily got to like the mega clubs there. But you know, that's definitely one spot that's always been on the list.
Right on, man. Well, hey, as we end it, what can you share with everybody as parting words to leave them inspired?
I don't know. Yeah, I think, you know, I feel like for the folks out there who are aspiring artists, know that there is a space for you. You know what I mean? Like there's a community here. There are a lot of amazing people in the industry, and it's just a matter of reaching out. You know, I had so many no's at the beginning, a lot of no's. And really I found my tribe, you know, and it's like for any folks that are just starting or even folks that are trying to reinvent themselves, like keep going, keep moving forward. Like it's a journey, you know what I mean? And it's not always easy. And social media isn't all real. Half that shit is fake. So, you know, like I get joy out of like the things that I can that I'm doing, not necessarily comparing myself to whatever is happening on Instagram or TikTok, because it's a false illusion sometimes.
Yeah, all the trending things that they do on there. Uh,
Yeah.
share with us one more time the name of your nonprofit.
Yeah, so the nonprofit that we started, it's called Music Connects Foundation. You can Google it, musicconnectsfoundation.org.
And is
And
that
you'll find it there.
already? Can I tag you on Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah. It's a brand new nonprofit that we just started that's focusing on promoting and highlighting LGBTQ and BIPOC artists. And there's going to be programs and seminars and free events. I'm going to try to do something up in Sacramento in the next couple of years. I'll probably hit you up
Love to
and figure out how we can get those grants. Yeah, and the goal there is just to really just highlight and promote the amazing talent that we have that unfortunately gets overlooked a lot of times.
Yeah, little spoiler alert: Jesse and I are doing a Raw Vibes party, Pride themed, in
Nice.
June. So not gonna share who's on the lineup yet, but we're definitely gonna be celebrating Pride this year in June at Drake's Barn. So be on the lookout for that. Hope you and Ivan and friends can come up and chill with us.
Yeah, man, that sounds great. Cool.
Oh yeah. Well, Homero, thank you so much for being here with me tonight and sharing your story and your experiences and your outlook on life and music. I really do appreciate you, both as a human and as a producer and artist. So just wish you well, and I really do appreciate you being here. Thanks again, man.
All right, man. Take care. See you later.
All right, talk soon.